Hello, my name is Chastity Berry, and welcome to my draft research proposal presentation. In this presentation, I will introduce my study examining the impact of culturally responsive teaching on reading proficiency among minority males in special education. I will walk through the rationale, literature review, conceptual framework, proposed methods, ethical considerations, and anticipated contributions. Introduction and rationale. The research problem centers on the persistent literacy gaps for minority males in special education. Reading proficiency predicts long-term academic and life outcomes. As a Georgia educator working directly with students in special education, I see firsthand how reading challenges disproportionately affect minority males. Many of my students are bright, capable, and motivated, but their cultural strengths are often overlooked in traditional instructional practices. This study is personal and significant to me because I want to bridge the gap between research and classroom practice, ensuring that culturally responsive teaching isn't just a theory in textbooks, but a lived reality for students in my classroom and across Georgia. By centering students' identities and experiences in literacy instruction, I believe we can create not only strong readers, but also more confident and empowered learners. Culturally responsive teaching offers promise because it affirms cultural identity while supporting literacy development. In Georgia, our ELA standards emphasize not only decoding and fluency, but also critical comprehension and engagement with diverse text. Yet, when I look at my students in special education, particularly minority males, the gap between the standards and their actual reading performance is clear. This is not just a Georgia issue, it reflects national equality, equity concerns. Across the country, data from NAEP shows persistent disparities in reading outcomes for minority males with disabilities. Linking my study to these standards and equity concerns underscores the urgency. Culturally responsive teaching is not just an instructional choice, it is a pathway to ensuring that all students, regardless of background, have an equitable opportunity to meet the literacy benchmark set for them. Literature Review, Theme 1 and Theme 2. Theme 1, Persistent Reading Achievement Gaps. Theme 2, CRT Improves Engagement and Outcomes. Research consistently shows persistent gaps in reading performance. Minority males in special education face compounded barriers. Literacy also highlights that culturally responsive pedagogy has been effective in improving engagement and achievement. Gay and Laston Billings emphasize that CRT connects student lived experience with academic content. Literature Review Themes 3 and 4. Challenges applying CRT in special education. Theme 4, Validated Literacy Frameworks. While CRT has shown promise applying it in special education, settings present challenges, including teacher preparation and systematic inequities. Sullivan and Artilis note these barriers. Validated literacy frameworks, phrases, and assessments like DIBELS and MapGrowth provide reliable tools for measuring progress. Theoretical and conceptual framework. The guiding framework is Gay's culturally responsive pedagogy model. Universal design for learning adds an equity lens to special education. Vygotsky's social cultural theory reinforces the idea that learning occurs through social interactions. Proposed method design. This study uses a mixed method approach. The quantitative portion is quasi-experimental, measuring change in reading proficiency. The qualitative component is a case study involving interviews and focus groups to capture perspectives of teachers and students. Proposed methods. Participants. The participants will be 40 middle school minority males in grades 6 through 7th who receive special education services in reading. They will be recruited from two diverse schools in Georgia. Inclusion criteria ensures the focus is on the intended population, while exclusion criteria protects against cases where assessment may not be appropriate. Proposed methods, instruments. The study will use oral reading fluency from DIBELS and map growth reading to measure proficiency, semi-structured interviews with teachers and focus groups with students to explore experiences with culturally responsive practices. Procedures. The study begins with recruitment and consent. Pre-tests will establish baseline proficiency. Over 10 weeks, a culturally responsive reading curriculum will be implemented. Afterwards, post-tests will measure gains, and qualitative interviews and focus group will capture perceptions of the intervention. In any study involving children, protecting participants is top priority. I will ensure informed consent from parents and assets from parents, explaining the purpose and process in clear, accessible language. Confidentiality will be safeguarded by using secure data storage so that students' identities remain fully protected. This builds trust with families and maintains integrity of the research. Because my participants are students in special education, I will ensure that aspects of the intervention respect and align with their individual education program. That means accommodations such as extended time, small group setting, or differentiated materials will be honored. Equity in this study means making sure that students with IEPs are not only included, but their needs are at the center of the instructional planning. Data analysis plan. Quantitative analysis will use paired t-tests and ANCOVA effect size will be calculated. Qualitative analysis will follow Braun and Clark's thematic coding framework. Triangulating both forms of data strengthens validity. Ethical and equity consideration. Ethical considerations include securing consent and protecting confidentiality. Equity will be addressed by affirming students' identity, avoiding deficit narratives, and providing accommodation aligned with IEPs. The study will center student strengths while maintaining fairness and protection. In this study, ethical responsibility and equity are at the forefront. First, I will ensure informed consents from parents and assets from students, making sure the process is explained in language that is clear and accessible. To maintain confidentiality, all data will be securely stored and will be used so students' identity remain fully protected. Equity also requires that we shift away from deficit thinking. Rather than focusing on what students can't do, I intentionally use affirming texts that reflect their cultural backgrounds and apply culturally responsive instructional strategies that highlight their strengths. This not only supports literacy growth, but it validates students' identities as capable learners. Finally, because my participants are special education students, every part of the intervention will align with their individual education programs. Accommodations such as extended time, small group setting, or differentiated materials will be honored. By grounding the study in informed consent, equity, and IEP based supports, I aim to ensure that the research is both ethical and truly responsive to the needs of diverse learners. Anticipated contributions. This study aims to contribute the evidence of whether culturally responsive teaching can improve reading proficiency for minority males in special education. Findings will suggest instructional strategies and inform equity-focused literacy policies. References. These references include methodological, theoretical, and assessment sources foundational to the proposal. Thank you for another great day of learning.